Hello everyone, this is Unit 1 Lesson 6 and we are going to learn how to solve literal equations in this lesson. So for the do now, we're just going to start with proportions, and we are going to use that butterfly method. And we're going to do 6 times x minus 3, and we're going to set that up with distributive property. And as long as we have the distributive property, 6 times the entire expression x minus 3, that's good. So this is 24, 8 times 3, and this is 6x minus 18 for distributive property. You get 24, you add 18 on both sides. Let me move this down. And you could see that you add 18 to both sides and you divide by 6 just like that, and x equals 7. All right, and so now we're going to go ahead, do the same thing. We're going to use the butterfly method, and this time we're going to put 4 times x minus 2 in parentheses because it's 4 times the entire expression, and then 8 times x plus 2, just like that. So we're going to do distributive property. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 8 times x is 8x, and 8 times 2 is 16. We have an equation with variables on both sides of the equation. And that's it right there. So we're going to subtract the 4x on both sides. We get negative 8 equals 4x, because 8x minus 4x is 4x, plus 16. And then we're going to subtract 16 on both sides. Hopefully we cancel out this right here. And this is negative 24 equals 4x. And you divide by 4, and you get x equals negative 6. Same thing for the last one right here, like this. You get 6 times x minus 1 in parentheses, and then you get 12 times x plus 2 in parentheses. You get 6x minus 6 equals 12x minus plus 24, and then you have the 6x and the 12x that you need to get the smaller x over to the larger x. So that's what we're going to do. Get those x's together. This cancels. You get negative 6 equals 6x plus 24. And then you minus 24 on both sides, minus 24 on both sides. And then we are going to have 6x, negative 30, equals 6x. And you're going to divide by 6 on both sides. And you get x equals negative 5. And that is that for the do now. Now, a literal equation is an equation involving 2 or more variables. So in an example, 4x plus 2y equals 18, you see the 2 variables that are there at x and y. That makes it a literal equation. So think about what is going on here as far as on the left side and then on the right side. The 2x plus 4 equals 12. I think everybody knows how to solve that. We're going to use the same steps on the right side when we have a literal equation to actually solve it. So if we have 2x, I'm going to rewrite this, 2x plus 4 equals 12. The first step is to subtract 4 on both sides. Once you subtract 4 on both sides, let me get rid of that and put this down, minus 4, minus 4. So once you subtract 4 on both sides, the 4's cancel. And then you get 12 minus 4, which is 8. So the same thing happens over here. A times x plus b equals 12. You see how you subtracted 4 to get the x alone, to get the x alone. It's the same thing here. So you're subtracting the b on both sides. They subtract the b on both sides. The b's cancel, and you have a times x equals 6. Well, let's go back to the left side, and you're going to divide by 2, the number next to the variable, which now x equals 4. Well, you're going to do, to get x alone, you have to do the same thing, divide by a. Divide by a. Instead of a number, now you're going to have x equals 6 over a. And that's kind of like what the answer is when you're solving for a literal equation. Right? X equals 4, x equals 6 over a. And that's it. So it appears that this has one solution. And it appears like x equals 4. And this is kind of like an expression. Where you don't know what a number answer is, all right, because you have 2 or more variables. And let's go on. So think about solving for a variable when it gives you more than one variable. Try to solve for that variable. Treat the other variables as if they were constants and coefficients until you have the variable that you're trying to solve for alone. So you're using inverse operations. That's basically what you have to do here. So if you're going to do this successfully, you have to know what you're solving for. And you're solving for y in terms of x and z, right? That means x and z are going to be in the answer, but you're solving for y. So just take a look at the right side of this equation. There's y with the z, and it's attached by multiplication. Multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is division. So you would just go ahead and take whatever it is that you want to cancel, that's what you're going to divide by. You want to solve for y, so that means I'm going to divide by z because I want z to cancel. And look, x over z equals y. Y is alone. That is your answer. That's it. Solve for x in terms of y and z. So remember, y and z are going to be the answer, but you really want to solve for x. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get the z over to where on the side of where the 4 is, because you need to get that 2xy alone. So now you have 2xy on this side equals 4 minus z. And then, like I said, that's all attached by multiplication. Whatever you are going to cancel, that's what you're going to divide by. You want to solve for x, so you don't want to divide by x. You want to divide by 2 and y. 2 and y. Now the 2's cancel out, and so does the y's. And look what's alone. The x is alone equals 4 minus z over 2y. And that's a z. And that is your answer. Take a look at this self-assess page. Solve for x in terms of w, y, and z. Just remember, you're solving for x. That's all you're doing. So on the left side, you see an x. So that means you're going to divide by whatever it is that you want to cancel. And since they're attached by multiplication, you divide. You do the opposite of what it is you see. Solving for x, this is a positive 2, and that's why you're going to subtract 2 on each side. That cancels. X comes down equals y minus 2 is your answer. That's solve for x. You're going to solve for x here. This is, again, multiplication. So we're going to divide by z. Divide by z. And then once you divide by z, the z's cancel. That's what you wanted to divide by because you want to get that x alone. 5y over z. This one, again, you're just going to solve for x by dividing by 3 on both sides. You have x equals 2 over 3 y. So we're solving for x here, so that means we're going to minus 4y, minus 4y. This cancels. You're going to have x equals w minus 4y. This is all attached by multiplication. 9x, y, and z. Opposite of multiplication is division. We are going to divide by whatever you want to cancel. So 9y, z. This cancels, and the z's cancel. X comes down, equals 27y over 9yz. Or you could do 27 divided by 9. 27 divided by 9 is 3. All right, 27 divided by 9. The y's cancel, and you could put the z on the bottom because that's where it is in the numerator. So we're going to solve for x. So that means this z needs to be moved over to that other side, that right side. That cancels. You have wx equals y minus z. So you're going to divide by w on both sides. You have x equals y minus z over w. Again, all inverse operations. Here we go. You see how the x is in with the 3w and x, the 3w? The x is all attached by multiplication, all of these terms. But don't touch that yet because this y needs to move over to the right side. This cancels. You have 3wx equals 6z plus y. So just remember, we're going to divide because all of this is attached by multiplication. We're dividing by a 3w only because, again, the opposite of multiplication is division. And then we have 6z plus y over 3w. So here we go. They don't want you to solve it. They just want you to explain if this is a literal equation or not. And there's the answer there. The equation is not a literal equation because it only has one variable. All right. So in this Explore, we're going to just go through this as quickly as possible. Write the formula for perimeter. So perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. All right, 2 times the length, because there's 2 sides with the length, and 2 times W, there are 2 widths that are the same length. So it says solve the formula for W. So we're just going to put P equals 2L plus 2W, and we're going to solve it for W. We're going to minus the 2L on both sides. Okay, so the solving for W would divide this by 2, and then it would get P minus 2L over 2 equals W. And that is the new formula for the width. And they want you to now use that formula with these numbers in them to find the width, right? Because now it's solved for the width. So all you would have to do is P is 19 minus 2 times L, which is 5.5. You see how they give you that? Divided by 2. And that would equal the width. So you just put that in your calculator, and that's equal to the width. You would, I'm just going to put this up here. And I just put this into a fraction. You see how that is a fraction right there. I press alpha x, 19 minus 2.2 times 5.5 divided by 2 is 4. So W equals 4. And it would be inches. Write a formula for area. Area equals of a triangle, half the base times the height. Okay, so if you wanted to solve this for the height, which is what they want you to do, you basically want to get rid of that fraction. So we're going to multiply by 2, and we're going to multiply by 2 over here. This 2 cancels, this 2 cancels. So then you have 2a equals b times h. And the way you solve for b, for h, you just divide with the b. And so this cancels, and then you have h equals 2a over b. And that's great because you have the area of 10. Now we could use that, use the new formula. H equals 2a over b. And we got h equals 2 times a, which is 10. And I'm going to change 5 over 2 to 2.5. Grab your calculator. We're going to press alpha x. We're going to have 2 times 10 over 2.5. And then enter. We have 8. So the height is 8 inches. See how easy that is. In this one, they want you to write the circumference of the formula for the circumference of a circle. So it's C equals 2 pi r. And then it says solve the formula for r. So that's what we're going to do. And this is a little bit of an easier one because it's all attached by multiplication. You divide by 2 pi, because the 2's you want to cancel and the pi's you want to cancel. So I'm just going to turn this around. R equals C over 2 pi. Now we're going to use that to find the radius. We're going to use that new formula to find the radius. So R equals C, which is 8 pi, over 2 pi. So guess what? Pi's cancel. 8 divided by 2, R equals 4 centimeters. And that is that. All right, so practice. Solve each equation for the variable indicated. So this one will give you, this whole page will give you a lot of practice. So I am not going to use distributive property, even though it looks like I should. It says solve for R. We're going to divide by 4 instead. So the 4's cancel. R plus 3 comes down, equals T over 4. And then to solve for R, you would just simply minus 3 on both sides. This cancels. R comes down, equals T over 4 minus 3. Solve for W in terms of L and P. So we're going to solve for W by taking this 2L and moving it over to the left side. Once that's moved over to the left side, you'll notice that the 2W is kind of like a lone over there on the right side. And the only thing to solve for W is to divide by 2. And the 2's cancel, and you have W equals P minus 2L over 2. And that is your answer. Solve for W in terms of Y. So if I have to get if I see W's on both sides, I have to solve for W. I'm going to get them together first, because you can't solve for them if they're separated by an equal sign. This cancels. You have negative Y equals 5W minus 2. Then I'm going to add 2 to both sides. This cancels. I'm going to have negative Y plus 2 equals 5W. And I'm dividing by 5 to finally solve for W. And I'm going to get W equals negative Y plus 2 over 5. Solve for X in terms of W and Y. Solve for X. Nice. Subtract this 16W. Notice that I'm not touching the term with the X in it. I'm not going to touch that because I need to get this 16W over. Then you notice that the 4X is kind of like by itself there on the left side. Then you could divide by 4. And guess what? X is alone. And that's your answer. Solve for X. Right? And there we go. So you just jump to where the T is and bring that T over to the left side. Because the T's would cancel from the right side and it would start to get the X alone. And then you divide by K. Divide by K. This cancels. And you get 2P plus T over K equals X. And then we're going to solve for S. Obviously, I'm going to just add this 5G, and I'm going to move it over to the right side. You see this 9S comes down now, and you get negative 4U plus 5G. And you're going to divide by 9 to get the S alone finally, and then the S comes down, negative 4U plus 5G over 9. And you solve for S. Try to solve this equation for the variable indicated. Okay. So I just wrote down. So if you solve for B here, just remember, don't do distributive property. So I'm just going to go ahead and write on this. This is H over 2. I need to get rid of that 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. This 2 cancels with this 2, but this is 2A now, 2 times A. You don't need to put anything else. H times A plus B. So now divide by H. The H cancels. Then A plus B comes down equals 2A over H. And then if you're going to solve for B, minus A on both sides. This cancels, and you have 2A over H minus A, small a, equals B. And there you go. That's a really good question. Something that the Regents could definitely ask. Right there. All right, mid-lesson assessment. The formula for the sum of the degrees of measures of interior angles of polygon is S. Yeah, that's nice. S equals 180 n minus 2. It says solve for n. So again, you don't distribute. Divide by 180. This cancels, and you get S over 180 equals n minus 2. And if you're solving for n, you just add 2 to both sides. And then you get, this cancels. And you get S over 180 plus 2 equals n. Regent's question. All right, so solve for n, it would be 2. Great question. All right, so that's something that they definitely could ask, and they did. All right, real world situations, bricklayers use this formula, n equals 7L each. The number of bricks, n to build the height of the wall, length in feet, transform the formula to find the height of the wall in terms of length. So you have to solve for h. So simply just go ahead and divide by 7L. I don't know what that is. 7L. Whatever you want to cancel, that's what you're dividing by. So this is h equals n over 7L. Why do I keep on putting Z? 7L. What is the height of a wall? Now they want you to use your new height equation. Height of the wall, that is 30 feet in length and requires 2,135 bricks. 2,135 goes in for n. This is n. And this is L, obviously in length. 7 times L. And I put L and I didn't put 30. So just put the 30. Just like that. All right. And we're going to just move this over. We're going to do alpha x, put it in a fraction, 2,135 divided by, no, not divided by because it's a fraction already, 7 and in parentheses 30. And then close parentheses. So let me just move that back so you can see it. And that's what it looks like. You enter, and it's 61 over 6. So I'm just going to go ahead, and if you want, you could press math and go to 2 and make that a decimal, or you could just, you divide it. All right, 10.16. So the height is 10.16. 10.17. So we round it. And that's feet. With all of these problems with find the error, Bill and Sam are solving the same equation. So for B, is either of them correct? The first thing I would do if I'm solving for B is to subtract the 4A. So I would actually just go and see if either one of them made a mistake. And it seems that Sam did not put this 5B down as a negative. So while Bill has that correct, Sam did not. And that's the error. All right. So divide by -5. And that's what Bill did. Divide by -5. And this cancels. You get B equals 7 minus 4A over -5. Bill is correct. And Sam is wrong. And he is wrong because of this right here. That's where he made that error. He forgot that negative. And that's it. All right, in the formula Ohm's law, E equals IR. E represents that voltage. Solve the formula for R. You just divide by I. Divide by I. This cancels. R comes down. Equals E over I. And that's it. Right, in uniform circular motion of V's spinning, blah, blah, blah. There it is. There's the 2 pi R over T. Solve the formula for R. Again, I need to get rid of the fraction. And I'm just going to, it's a lowercase t. So I'm just going to put that lowercase t. And the t's cancel when you multiply by the reciprocal. So it's T V equals 2 pi R. See how easy it is now? Now you divide by 2 and pi. What you need to cancel, that's what you divide by. And you get this pi cancels, this 2 cancels. The T V over 2 pi equals R. And that is it. Number 3, there it is right there. V equals LWH, where L is the width, and what do you have to solve for? The H. So you divide by what you want to cancel, and the W cancels, the L cancels, and then H equals V over LW. Here's a regions question. The distance of falling can be modeled by this. That's the formula. So we're going to put down D equals 1/2 AT squared. All right, they want you to solve for T. This is a little bit difficult, right? But get rid of that fraction. So we're going to multiply by 2 on both sides. 2 cancels. 2D equals AT squared. Then I'm going to divide by A because I want to get rid of the A. So 2D over A equals T squared. And then the opposite of squared is square root. So T equals square root of 2D over A. And T equals square root of 2D over A. 2. All right. Remember, the opposite of squared is square root, so that's where that is coming from. Regions question. A equals 1/2 H B1 and B sub 2. Express B1s in terms of A, H, and B sub 2. So you have to solve for B sub 1. Get rid of that fraction first. 2. 2. We're going to cancel that out. Makes it a lot easier. 2A equals H times B sub 1 plus B sub 2. Do not distribute. Divide by H on both sides. This cancels. This cancels. So I'm going to move over here. 2A over H equals B1, drop the parentheses, and now we're almost there, minus B2 on both sides. So as soon as you minus the B2 on both sides, this cancels. You have 2A over H minus B2, B sub 2 equals B sub 1. Solved. Good stuff. So for this, we're just going to substitute the numbers into the equation that we just solved. So the area of the trapezoid, so this is 2 times 60, because A is the area, so they're giving you that. The height is 6. Minus B2, one base is 12, and they want you to find the other base. So I'm going to drag my calculator up. And now I'm going to put alpha x. 2 times 60 is 120, so I don't need to do that in the calculator. 120 over 6 minus 12. And enter. That's 8. So if you can't see it, it looks like that. 8. B sub 1 is 8 feet. All right, exit slip. The first exit slip. So there's the formula that they always love to put on the regions. 9 over 5 C plus 32. And it says the formula for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit is that. Which expression is correctly written to convert Fahrenheit into Celsius? So they want you to solve for C. So I'm going to move this down, and I'm going to subtract 32 on both sides. I need to get that C alone. So it's F minus 32 equals 9 over 5C. Then I want to get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. And when I multiply by the reciprocal, they cross cancel. And then I have some work to do because I don't see any distributive properties. So I am going to distribute. So I'm going to put C equals 5 over 9F. And then I'm going to do 5 over 9 times negative 32. So alpha x, 5 over 9 times negative 132. And let's see what that gives me. Negative 220 over 3. Sorry, I made a mistake there. It's negative 32. Right? I put negative 132, which is not at all what they had there. Times negative 32. Let's see if that comes out. Negative 160 over 9. So I'm just going to put that down. So you see how I have that C is your answer here. So it's negative 160 over 9. So that's out. And it's 5 over 9. It's not 9 over 5. This is not anything that it has. But so when you write this, it's 5 over 5F minus 160, and it's all over 9 because the 9, they're like denominators of 9, so that's why they could write it like that. All right, so C is your answer. Really good. All right, the formula for electric power, P is P equals I squared. They like throwing that squared in, R, where I is the current and R is the resistance. Formula for I in terms of P and R is, so they want you to solve for I. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by R on both sides. This cancels. And then I'm going to just put down P over R equals I squared. You notice the opposite of squared is square root. This cancels. This cancels. I equals square root of P over R. And that is your answer there. Just like that. And the last exit slip, again, is, I'm writing in a highlighter. So, again, is K equals 5 over 9 times F plus 459.67. And they want you to solve for F. So get rid of that fraction. And I multiply by the wrong thing. So multiply by the reciprocal, 9 over 5. And the way I'm going to write that, this 9 cancels with this 9, this cancels with that. And the way I'm going to write that is 9k, 9 times k, over 5. Right? Equals f, lose the parentheses, plus 459.67 minus 459.67 minus 459.67. This cancels, and I'm going to rewrite it as 9k over 5 minus 459.67 equals f. And that's what you wanted to solve for f. And that's it. All right. And so this lesson, a difficult lesson, no doubt. But once you get the hang of it, and once you're using, just remember, always use the inverse operation and everything will be okay. All right. As long as you know those rules, you'll be fine. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope that helped.